Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I want to share with you the seamstress tag. I have found this tag to be so inspiring, so motivating. I am finding dozens of seamstresses on YouTube now thanks to this tag, and it is so much fun learning about them. I think it is wonderful for the YouTube sewing community. It really helps to bring us together, help us find each other. So thank you so much, Holli Sews, for starting this tag. So the first question is, who are you? My name is Jess. I am over 40. I am a wife and a stay-home homeschool mother of 4. However, my oldest graduated last year, so I only have 3 in school this year. And that really explains a lot about why I do not have a lot of time to sew, even though I'm home all the time. Question number 2. When and why did you start sewing? My very first experience with a sewing machine was in high school home ec class when we made the worst sweaters ever. They were sweatshirts. They were supposed to be for Spirit Week for school, and they were horrible, and I don't think anybody was inspired to ever sew anything fashionable after that class. However, it did help me to understand the very basics of turning on a sewing machine and sewing a straight line. After that, I didn't touch a sewing machine again until my oldest child was a toddler, and I wanted for her to have a gorgeous Halloween costume that was a couple $100, and I just could not rationalize spending that much money on a cute little costume that she would wear one time. So my mother happened to have a sewing machine that she never used, but she did know how to use it. It had been given to her as a gift, and my mother is not a seamstress, has no interest in sewing, but it came in very handy for me. She actually would have to come over and thread my bobbin every time my bobbin ran out because I was that inept at basic sewing machine skills. After that, I had my second daughter, and I wanted cute little flouncy skirts for them, and I made dozens. My skills got better, and I was able to make very cute little skirts for the girls. Once they got older, they didn't want the cute little skirts, so I turned my attention to historical sewing. So I'm actually a crossover from historical sewing to modern fashions. What is your favorite or proudest make? Currently, it's the evening gown that I just finished up, and I will put a link to that in the description below. I shared that in my last video. Okay, what is your most disastrous make? The make right now that I am most embarrassed by is a Roaring 20s costume dress that I made last year, and it looks like a really bad Vegas fringe disco thing. It's horrible. I don't even know what to do with it. I'm so embarrassed by it, but I cannot bring myself to throw it away or give it away or anything, so it just hangs in my closet to point out to me that I can make really bad stuff. Number 5, where is your favorite place to go fabric shopping? In my local community, we have 2 very nice fabric shops, but they are kind of niche fabric shops for the community. So they don't have websites, they don't have social media, they have nowhere online that tells you what kinds of fabrics they have or anything. They really are just walk-in shops, so if you're not from here, there's pretty much no way you can get fabric from there. They have beautiful silks though, every kind of high-end cotton that you can imagine. So there really was no point in me telling you any of that, because you cannot, unless you come visit me, you cannot take part in shopping at those lovely stores. Online, I tend to find myself going to Fashion Fabrics, fashionfabricsclub.com, fabricmartfabrics.com, fabric.com. Okay, for number 6, What is your most used pattern? I have 3, and I use them more as slopers. My very first one would be this New Look 6808 top pattern. Just the very basic cut of this top. Fits me really well. I really like it, and I use this to help mash up for my gown pattern that I just did last week. Then comes Butterick B5917. The skirt part of this pattern I have used over and over and over again. I don't remember how many of these that I've made in all different colors and lengths. And the third one is this New Look 6130. It is a whole outfit. I have made the peplum top before, and it fits me really well, and I'm going to be using it again. Right now I'm using the pants part of the pattern. I used it to make shorts. I'm currently using it to make pants, and I think this is going to be my go-to pant pattern. It fits really, really well. It is just a capri length, but it's easy to just add something to that. Okay, so, and by the way, everybody else who has been putting on their favorite go-to patterns, I love seeing all of those. So thank you, ladies, for sharing all of your great patterns. They are so inspiring. Number 7, your most dreaded sewing task is? My most dreaded sewing task is basically the same as the majority of everybody else who I have watched. Buttonholes. Buttonholes seems to be the nemesis of seamstresses. I'm not sure why. Most of you are using a machine. I do my buttonholes by hand. I really like them that way. However, I have a horror story that every time I start new buttonholes or think about buttonholes, that story just rushes back to me, and I have anxiety about it. It doesn't exactly keep me up at night or anything, but I had been sewing a beautiful sheer wool fabric. It was very, very sheer, very, very light, beautiful drape, beautiful hand, extremely open weave. And I did not interface or interline it. And when I put the covered button through the buttonhole, the entire thing shredded. And I could have cried because I spent so much time on it. I never did go back and fix it. All it needed was to have the button placket taken off, new one put on and interlined and redone, and I just was so horrified that I just never touched it again. Then it goes on to number 8. What is your favorite sewing task? My favorite sewing task is hand sewing. I pretty much hand sew everything. Whenever I sew a garment, I only really use the sewing machine to straight stitch. So if I'm doing a skirt, I will straight stitch the side seams and the center back seam. Everything else I do by hand. I do the darts by hand. I do my seam finishes by hand. I do my zipper by hand. If it's got a waistband, I will do the initial seam with the machine, but then I will hand finish it. I do hand hemming. I don't care for the look of top stitching when it's done with a machine. If I ever do jeans, then yes, of course I'm going to do top stitching. But other than that, I think hand stitching just looks phenomenal, and I'm very comfortable doing it. I absolutely love hand finishing. Okay, what is your favorite sewing entertainment? I don't have time for entertainment. I have 4 children, so they are pretty much all the entertainment that I ever could need or want. My children are so involved in everything. Pretty much we do school during the day, and in the evening we are out. We are running around, we are going to sports. So I would have to say, when I am sitting around hand sewing, I am generally at baseball practice, soccer practice, tennis practice, a game, we are at a 4-H club meeting, or at some sort of event like that, and here I am sitting watching my kid doing some hand stitching. So that would be about all. You printed or PDF? I don't have a problem with either one. My preference lies more in the cost. If I'm going with one of the major pattern brands, I'm really cheap. I know that they're printing out millions of these patterns, and I want to get it at a good price. I want to get it for the Joann's 5 for $5, where you get 5 patterns for $5. If I'm going for a private label, somebody who has, you know, is an independent person, they have slaved over making a pattern, I would, if I was completely in love with the pattern and had some access to trying it out before buying it, I would definitely spend the big bucks in order to encourage them, in order to help them to make that part of their income stream. Number 11, what sewing machine do you use? I'm a little embarrassed to say I do not own my own sewing machine. I am still using the borrowed machine that was my mother's, but since she is never going to ask for it back, it's unofficially been gifted to me, I guess. Okay, and the very last question is, do you have any other hobbies? Yes, I do. I love to garden. I've got a very nice kitchen garden outside that I love to plant in the spring and then harvest all summer and fall long. I love bringing them in. I love cooking with them. I have no idea what I'm going to make for dinner until I go out and see what I have in my garden. Last 2 years ago, I got into herb gardening and using fresh herbs, and I love to do that. Next year, I plan on adding a cut flower section to my garden. That about wraps it up for me, and thank you so much for watching. Anybody else who has not yet done the sewing tag, please do. It is such a great opportunity. I have really enjoyed searching out and finding other seamstresses. It's just so much fun getting to know so many other wonderful, creative, inspiring women. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye.